It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special time, a special day of the Unhappy Hour, the only Cleveland-centric, Los Angeles-based sports show that I'm currently aware of. Yes, it's opening day, and no, Corey Kluber did not win, but the Indians have re-signed him to a 5-year deal. Pretty sweet. Good news. It's a long season, but they lost 2-0 tonight to the Astros. But you're not here for baseball. Well, okay, maybe you are. But we're here to congratulate the Duke Blue Devils. They have won the college basketball championship. They have defeated the Wisconsin Badgers 68-63. Yeah. Coach Krzyzewski's pretty good at what he does. Yeah, you know, a lot of times you just kind of wonder how important is it to have a coach. I don't know. Some sports it seems like the head coach is a little bit more important. I don't know. David Blatt. I mean, people are. Is he even the head coach of the Cavs, or is that LeBron James? Too soon. Sometimes people wonder if baseball managers do all that much. Yeah, I mean, late in the game and going to the bullpen to get the left-handed batter and the left-handed pitcher for the right-handed batter for the, you know. How important is a head coach? How important is a manager? Well, I'll tell you what, we'll bring in Zak Baris, former NBA scout, now current NBA consultant, to talk about how important is a coach. And we'll break down the game. And of course, because of Passover and Easter and all of those things and a couple of other things, we did not have a regularly scheduled program on Friday, so we missed kind of the Final Four, you know, the Elite Eight to the Final Four to the championship game. So, you know, anything we've learned over the past week, we'll see if Zach can highlight. But real quick, if you haven't checked it out yet, our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. Check it out, all of our archived content for the past almost 4 full years. On the right-hand side are 3 things. TNAM Radio, because the news always matters. That's where you click play to listen live to this program, and Agree to Disagree, where we talk politics and other stuff. But that's on our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. That's how you listen live. Underneath that are 2 things. Twitter, we're at American_media_, or you can do it off our homepage, and Facebook, which you can do a search for The New American Media, with spaces in between and like the page. And finally, subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media. So let's get Zach into the show, and we will talk about this championship game. Shall we?
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing swell, better than the Badgers are doing. How are you, sir?
I'm very happy Duke won.
You're very happy Duke won. I don't know. I kind of being a Big Ten guy and, you know, being an Ohio State Buckeye fan.
There's a player on Duke I actually, basically, so I worked with him and his family last 3 years, getting him and basically just working on him with Duke. So I'm very happy for them.
Is that something you're able to talk about, or you'd just rather not?
No, I'd rather not. Prefer not to.
Okay, so you had a connection to one of the players on Duke for the past couple years. Okay, well, there's only so many players on the team. Man, Okafor came up
honestly,
pretty big.
Honestly, if people do their homework, it's not too hard to figure out. I'm just not going to give any clues. If I gave one clue, everybody would know what it is.
That's fair enough. I was going to say if Kentucky were still in it, I'd say, well, let's see, Zach, did the player in that you're mentioning in reference to, did he use a racial slur post-game? Yes or no? Okay, I'll check him off the list. Play like 20 questions or something. All right, well, where to begin? You know, I kind of led the intro here talking about Coach Krzyzewski and, you know, how important is a head coach in college basketball? Let's start there.
I think it's probably the most important. It's probably the most important part. I mean, obviously you have to have talent, but the thing is, you're not going to get good talent without a head coach. I mean, let's go and take, for instance, you take a small school. Look at Shaka Smart with VCU. Okay, would VCU have ever been in that situation without him? No, not even close.
Well, Urban Meyer with Bowling Green. Now I'm going to switch sports to college
Well, I mean,
football.
just
But
take
like Urban Meyer
Ohio
brought us in
State,
the top
for instance.
25.
Don't forget Luke Fickell. They went 6-7 in Luke Fickell's first year.
Yeah.
I think coaching is the most important in the college sports, especially because once you get to the NBA level and you get to the NFL level, it's at the point where a head coach has a very tough job recruiting players. In college, you can recruit who you want to. In the NFL, you're only given a team's only given a draft pick in each round for the most part. Not basing anything on supplemental things. But looking at that, and same in the NBA, you have a salary cap. You can only get as many guys as you can. You can't be gifted every player. There's only so many superstars that go around. In college, it's a totally different scenario. You can go, and if you have a good recruitment process, but it's more than based on the head coach. It has to do with a lot of the assistant coaches too. For what reason? I mean, basically, I can give an example of from when I was in Arizona. Josh Pastner, who took over for John Calipari at Memphis, was an assistant coach. Now, Josh was a former player from Houston, Texas. Had a lot of pull in Texas. All of Lute Olson's big recruits who came from Texas in the early 2000s and the late 90s were all recruited by Josh Pastner. So you have to have a great assistants on your staff, too. I mean, look at Thad Matta. He used to have Sean and Archie Miller on his staff. One of the reasons Thad Matta struggled so much in the past few years is when Archie Miller left to take the head coaching, when he left to take an assistant job at Arizona and then eventually took the head coaching job at Dayton. But he struggled ever since Sean Miller really took the head coaching job at Arizona. His recruiting has suffered big time. Their last major recruit was Jared Solinger, and D'Angelo Russell, too, this year. But before that was Jared Solinger. It had been 4 years.
Yeah, Russell turned out okay.
Yeah, Russell's going to be a great player. He reminds me of Chris Paul with added length. But we'll talk about the draft later. Getting to this, though, I think a head coach is all the importance of basketball. Look at what a name Coach K's. I mean, you can put a crappy coach at a big name school, and they're not necessarily going to do something. Although you could put a great coach at a small school, and they're going to completely transform a program. I mean, that's why you see these coaches getting bigger jobs. It just happens.
And bigger bucks.
I think coaching in basketball, especially in college basketball, is of all the importance. I really do.
And they are getting paid. Especially in basketball, like that's the smallest roster out of, you think baseball, you think football. You got to get those top-notch players. It's not about depth as much.
Michigan. Look at Michigan. I think it's a perfect example of how a coach matters in college football. I mean, look at Lloyd Carr. He was completely overmatched by Jim Tressel in his years there. Who takes over? Rich Rodriguez. Rich Rodriguez is given 3 years. He doesn't really have time to fully implement his system with all of his recruits. 3 years I don't think is long enough, but, they can, and they did what they did. Brady Hoke came in and recruited the hell out of these kids but couldn't develop his own product. And, and then you look at Tressel. Tressel was a very good coach for Ohio State. Won a national title, was at 3 national titles total, and won a ton of Big Ten titles. But take a look at it. He had set up for 1 year. Luke Fickell was a rookie head coach, taking the team to 6-7. They struggled in recruiting. Urban Meyer came in, suddenly was able to flip all these old recruits around. They went 12-0 his first season. The next year, I believe they went, 12-2? And then this year, they went, 14-1?
I think we had 14 wins this year with the title, right?
Third year. If you looked at it at the beginning of the season, this is how big of a coaching job matters. Look how bad that team was week 1 of the season. They barely beat Navy until the fourth quarter. They were losing to Navy I think in the third quarter of that game.
And that line looked terrible. I remember I watched the first couple games, and then I went to Kent State, to the Kent State Buckeye game, and the conversation I was having was like,
I didn't even watch the Kent State. I watched 5 minutes of the Kent State Buckeye game, and I was like, so upset, though. I thought their season was over. And don't forget, it's a MAC game. Honestly, it doesn't matter that much to me. Like I said, I had a friend in town who was opening Brown Saints weekend. I had a friend in town, one of my old roommates from college who's in town from Orange County. So,
right.
I took the day off, basically, from football. I was on a Saturday. There weren't any big games.
Well, you watched that Virginia Tech game, and it was like, wow. I'll tell you what, Braxton Miller, he's got to be watching this offensive line going, wow, I was going to get killed either way this year. It's all right that I'm sitting out till this line gets better.
Look at the transformation that he made. By the end of the year, they had the best O-line in the country. They had the most physical offensive line in the country.
Go figure.
They had the most physical D-line in the country. They were by far the best team in the nation.
And they earned it. They
come
proved
the second
it.
half of the season. I mean,
Well,
look what they did to Michigan State.
that was a huge game at the time. That's right.
That was when I realized Ohio State was an elite football team. You had to look at that game and you go, wow. I was in Las Vegas for that game. My buddy's bachelor party. Everybody, he's an Ohio State alum, the biggest Ohio State fan I've ever met, to tell you the truth. And we're all there at the Palazzo at Legacy Stadium, and then we're watching that game, and I mean, oh my God, did Ohio State trounced them in the second half of that football game. And he said, wow, this is a legitimate football team. Wow, have they come a long way. This isn't just, they're not just an afterthought anymore.
Yeah.
And then what do you know? Look what they did to Wisconsin, 59-0. I mean, we're getting sidetracked here talking about football, but I mean.
but Wisconsin was in the title game in the NCAA for Final Four.
Wisconsin this year. Indianapolis has not been kind.
No. Oh, no, it has not. Now, do we have to is that where we make a joke about Sparty and wedding pizza? Could that be the reason why Indy hasn't been kind to Sparty? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I'm stretching here. No, I mean Michigan State. I mean they made it very far in basketball as well. Wisconsin made it far in basketball as well. Of course, it wasn't Ohio State's year in basketball, but
I mean here's the thing though, and this is usually what happens at one point in the NCAA tournament. Teams with really, really strong NBA talent. You saw it tonight, and that's the thing, is they didn't even play that well. Was Jahlil Okafor and Justice Winslow. They really didn't have good nights. Jahlil Okafor, when he came back in the game in the last couple of minutes, showed you how dominant was and how much better he was than Frank Kaminsky.
Well, I don't know that he showed how much better he was than Kaminsky. It just showed that when he came in the last third of the second half of that game. I mean, he made the big plays when they counted. I mean, Kaminsky, hit a three. He made a couple of plays, but
Grayson Allen was a 5-star recruit too. That's the thing, is when you get these kids that are 5-star recruits, the talent sometimes just flushes out. You realize how good these kids are. They might not show it all season, but there's a reason why they were a 5-star recruit.
And there's a reason why players like Grayson Allen attack the basket and drive. From the top of the key, they just attack 3 people down at the rim and get the shot and one.
And the thing is, Sam Decker did not shoot well tonight. I mean, the thing is, I've never been that high on Sam Decker. Now, after watching the Arizona game, I said, okay, I was wrong about this kid. He's really, really, really good. And tonight, he shot less than 35. He shot 32.5% this year from 3-point. Wasn't that good? He had one amazing game, which helped throw up his draft stock like crazy. And that's what happens with guys like that. I mean,
well, if his stock goes up like crazy, and let's be honest, you weren't rooting for Duke because you know a guy on the team. You're just upset when Wisconsin knocked out your boys.
No, I honestly couldn't care less. Honestly, I really couldn't. I'm very happy Duke won though.
No, I mean, I'm just kidding. If you have a personal connection there, that's obviously going to trump anything like that. But I was going to ask you about that. When someone's stock goes way high and then they kind of come back to earth. Are they still that high, or did they drop back down?
Well, here's the thing, though. Some scouts, and I will say this personally, some scouts will focus on one game and see, okay, that's what his potential is. We're picking it.
Like Andrew Wiggins at the All-Star or at the High School Classic?
Like I told you, like I said, I was not surprised. I told you when I said the Cavaliers would be picking Wiggins number 1 overall over Jabari Parker. I told you that for a reason. I said he was the best talent I've seen since LeBron James. I mean, since Anthony Davis. And I'm talking about a high school prospect. I didn't watch Anthony Davis too much in high school. I did watch him a fair amount, but nothing crazy. And that's what I'm getting at. And when I say that is, when I saw Wiggins play in the Nike Hoop Summit in Portland a few years ago, I said to myself, I go, what a talent. I go, he looked very lost last year during the NCAA tournament, very lost. But just because of what I had seen in the past, I said, there is no way I would take Jabari Parker over Andrew Wiggins still, and I was right about that. I want to see Jabari season before the injury, but Wiggins is coming to his own. Wiggins will be an All-Star in the NBA. He'll probably a multi-time All-Star.
And I want to see a full season out of Jabari Parker, and I want to see a full season out of on the Lakers. Drawing a blank. Lakers injury rookie this year.
Julius Randle.
Thank you, Randle. Are the Lakers going to get that draft pick? How does that pan out? Where are their standings?
It depends. If it falls in the top 5 or top 6, then they get it.
Man, I would be tanking like crazy. I wouldn't play anybody. And I would tell people to go out there and miss shots. I don't care if you're supposed to tell them that or not. No, I wanted to see a full season out of Jabari Parker. I really did. Out of both the guys. You hate seeing injuries bring people down. But back to NCAA for a second. Do you think Wisconsin lost this game, or do you think Duke won it?
Duke won. Duke was a better basketball team. I mean, it just is what it is. Duke was the better basketball team. And despite what people say with the refs at the call at the last 2 minutes, with the ball going off at Justice Winslow, Duke would have won that game either way. Duke was
I felt like that way, and it clearly touched his fingertips. I don't know how you're going to watch an HD.
Winslow and Jahlil Okafor for the majority of the game did like crap.
Yeah, they did not look good. But how did the refs, when it comes down to it, and you can clearly see that his fingertips touch the ball, how did they not call that with HD under the hood?
Because I really can't tell you. I really can't. Because the call on the floor wasn't 100% evidence that he had touched with his fingertips. I mean,
well, that one play was not going to. Yeah, that one call. Yeah, it wasn't going to completely determine it. It was.
But like I said, I don't think it would have thrown the structure off of the game. I think Duke would have won it anyway.
It wasn't like Steve Bartman with the Cubs reaching in and screwing everything up.
Getting back to it, I think Wisconsin's a good team. I think they're a great team. Now, do they have a ton of NBA talent? No. It might have been. I like Frank Kaminsky as a college player. Do I love Frank Kaminsky as a pro? Absolutely not. I think he'll have his moments as a pro, but I think he'll be overmatched by a really, really good power forward any day.
So you see him going somewhere between 10, 15, first round?
Yeah, I think he'll be a lottery pick. I definitely do. I don't see him being a star in the NBA. I think he's going to be one of those guys who's going to go down as a great college player, not so much a significant, high-level player in the NBA.
Are we more like Christian Laettner? Or are we going to go?
Here's the thing. Laettner had an all-star season in the NBA. I don't know if I see Kaminsky ever as an all-star. It's just not me personally.
Switching sports, maybe you see him like a Johnny Manziel.
I mean, it all depends on what team he winds up with. Is he going to be able to succeed shooting the ball? I mean, here's the difference. I mean, is it a possibility he winds up, let's just say, for instance,
I thought San Antonio, not that he's going to last that long, but just,
No, he's not. But a team like, and like I said, he's not going to follow the Chicago Bulls either. He's not going to, that's the issue. If he can fall to a team where he can become an ultimate stretch four type of player in the NBA, and he's allowed to take his shots, there's a decent chance he'll become a good player. There's another chance he gets in the fit with a really terrible system too. I mean, it happens to guys and really, really stunts their development. It all depends who you get drafted by. I mean, we've seen guys go to Sacramento who just suck and suck and suck and suck. Is that necessarily the case with other guys? I mean, no. It just happens.
It's like getting drafted to the Raiders. I don't know. Maybe I got NFL on the mind. I keep talking football, but certain systems that's where players go to just die.
It's also the talent you wind up with. I mean, here's the thing too. I mean, you could wind up on a really good team to start your career and not have that opportunity to be playing 20 to 30 minutes a night and not getting the touches you need in order to develop. I mean, that's another scenario too. I mean, you have to look at all circumstances. There are guys who can thrive starting their career playing 5 to 10 minutes off the bench every night. There are guys that can do it. There are other guys, though, who definitely need the minutes and can't function properly without it. So it all depends on the player, and it all depends how a team develops and pumps time into a player. There are teams who don't pump, massive amounts of time into a player and massive amounts of effort into a guy because they just don't, there's other ways to use your resources. So, like I said, it all depends on the team he winds up with. All depends on the fit. There are times where you can look at it and you're a guy in the NBA and say, listen, do I take this guy? He fits our system better. This coach might not be here that long, or do I take the pure talent?
Right. Well, what about Okafor? How do you see him translating into a pro?
He's going to be a top 3 pick. The top 3 picks in this draft are Jahlil Okafor, D'Angelo Russell, and Karl Anthony Towns in no specific order.
Okay. No specific order.
Here's the thing. I love a guy that can play in the post. I love Jahlil Okafor. I really like Karl Anthony Towns. We've had the return of the NBA, being a center, it's not a completely center-driven league. But for a while, I mean, we had a league with Dwight Howard was the only, super elite center in the league a few years ago with Andrew Bynum being number 2. There weren't that many great centers in the league.
Yeah, a far cry from David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing.
Obviously, you've got baseball in your mind because you just said David Justice.
Yeah, I'm all over the map. Thanks for. Well, no, we were talking about the other Justice guy, Justice Winslow.
I know, Justice Winslow.
So Kellen Winslow, when he got drafted. Oh wait, Kellen Winslow.
Get back to it now and look where you are. With the young center. I mean, look where you are just in the NBA transforming. There are some good young centers in the league.
Who are your favorites?
Cousins. There actually is young talent in the league at the center position.
Who are your favorites?
In the NBA?
Yeah, in the NBA.
Position?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. You consider Anthony Davis a 4 or 5. I mean,
I consider him a center.
I mean, fine. Then Davis is by far the best.
Where do you think Mozgov fits in?
I think Mozgov is up there I think he's in the middle of the upper tier. I don't think I'll tell you this, he's an above-average center. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
He's a very good center.
I'm very surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised with how athletic he is. He really changes the entire dynamics of the games.
If you look on strict PER, player efficiency rating would indicate 15 is average, is indicating 15 is average. I tend to think league average tends to be more at 14 to 13 and a half. More of the 13 to 14 range. 15 will tell you, though, that it's average. But you can be below 15 in average, and contribute to positive win shares for a team, which is why I don't like to consider 15 average. I like to consider about 13 to 13 and a half as average. Okay. And when Mozgov's playing at almost 18 this year, that's way above average. Don't forget 20 is well an all-star level. 20 is an all-star.
Where's LeBron?
LeBron is always up anywhere from 25 to 31.
And is he by far the best in the league, or he's right around there?
No, Anthony Davis, I think, is actually. I can look it up right now, actually, to see who has the highest PER.
Well, look it up while I take a second and tell people, because I think UFC is MMA. One of our regular listeners, and I'm sure he'll listen and comment to this one. We've been having the conversation about, didn't you like it when it was a center-dominated league? And being my age, growing up with the Mark Price, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance Cavs. A lot of those centers that we just named off, not even to mention Shaquille O'Neal. I loved when there were dominant big men, and it really has seemed like the league went small. It went to guards, and that they got away from the big center-driven league for some reason. I'm not really sure why. I don't know if it's just because you don't see talent like Hakeem Olajuwon and Shaquille O'Neal every generation. Or if the game just got quicker and something about how the refs have been calling defense and offense. But, that's a thread that we had on our YouTube page. So if you guys haven't checked out our YouTube page, go subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media. Definitely leave your comments there because we continue the conversation. And, I think we're quickly approaching 500,000 views, and we're still just getting warmed up, and it's a good place to continue the chat. So hopefully I stalled there long enough, Zach, to give you a chance to look up your ratings.
I'm still pulling it up.
What are you on, Explorer? What are you using?
No,
you on a dial-up modem?
Hold on, because it went through so many. Hold on.
I want, now I'm curious. I want to see if I could, while I'm looking, I am going to see if I can, yep, here we go. Okay, I'm going to try this. Let's see.
Player efficiency rating, Anthony Davis, of course, is
Wait, hold on. I got it. This is going to be Zach pulling up some statistics.
Well, no.
Oh, no, hold on. Zach is looking up some data. Here he goes.
I have.
Hold on. Wait. Mom, get off the phone. I'm trying to look up statistics for the radio show. Mom, don't pick. Oh.
No, Brian. It's a super, super long list going down the page, so I had to find it.
I'm just kidding. It was just funnier that way.
Anthony Davis is 30.8. He's the number one overall player. Westbrook 2 at 28.7. Steph Curry 27.6. James Harden 27.0. LeBron 26.0. And Chris Paul at 25.9. Those are the 6 best players in the league, according to player efficiency rating.
All right, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Who were the other 2?
It's Anthony Davis, Westbrook, Curry, Harden, and LeBron, and Chris Paul.
Curry, Harden, yeah.
But here's the thing that you have to look at. You also have to realize how many times a player touches a game, what their usage rate is. There's so much that goes into it.
Right.
The player efficiency is one of the biggest things that goes into it. But Mozgov has been well above average this season for the Cavaliers. Well above average.
Well worth the 2 draft picks we gave up. Well worth the 2.
Here's the thing. Let's put it this way. Would the Cavaliers even be able to start talking about a potential championship this year without Timothy Mozgov on the roster? Absolutely not.
Absent Anderson Varejao? No, I don't.
Varejao wouldn't have even made a difference. Varejau's not a 5. This is
Yeah,
something I've been on the show for 4 years.
And that's
talking
true.
about
That's
Anderson
true.
Varejao defended the 5 position so poorly.
That's true. That's true. I think
Now,
it was
when he's on the floor as a 4, he dominates, especially next to a good center. Look what he did with Shaq. He was dominant. He was dominant when Shaq was there. Defensively, remember what they did to the Lakers in 2009. Remember what they did to them.
Yeah, I remember
They
some of
dominated
those.
Bynum and Gasol. Absolutely annihilated them. Look what they did to Dwight Howard. I believe they won 3 out of the 4 matchups that year. They clobbered all those teams with a good center that year because the front court was so dominant defensively when Shaq was healthy.
So I guess now we're getting toward the end of the season. I want to ask finally about those final playoff spots and the MVP, but I want to wrap up NCAA because this is the last chat we're going to have about it. And I'm sure we'll do a draft special. When do we do that, Zach? When does that happen?
We usually do that come lottery time.
Okay. When is what are we in? April?
The lottery is usually
June?
the lottery's coming up very soon. Actually, it comes up. I think it's like it's in the middle of the NBA playoffs. It's usually I think it's in the end of April.
Oh, wow. That's going to be quick. Okay. So we have a couple weeks there. But I just kind of wanted to wrap up because with Passover, with Easter, and all that stuff, we kind of missed our regular show. And we kind of missed the Elite Eight to the Final Four. Any other thoughts with Kentucky? I mean, are you surprised?
Was I shocked Kentucky lost? Absolutely not. Because, like I said, I had a feeling the winner of that Arizona-Wisconsin game was going to beat Kentucky. I said it all along. I picked it in my bracket. Unfortunately, I had Arizona beating Wisconsin. But I had a feeling Kentucky was going to go down at that point. Just the pace of the game and the way those two teams play the game. I had a feeling one of them would beat Kentucky, and I was right.
And
I just thought it would be Arizona. I thought Wisconsin would beat them too. That was why I did not have Kentucky winning at all.
Do you have any? What do you think? Do you think Coach Calipari is happy that he did not coach the Cavaliers this year because he had the chance and the blank check?
I think if they would have gone 40-0, he would have had no regrets. No regrets. Looking at a team that now went 38-1 and had arguably one of the most disappointing finishes ever. Yeah. Here's the thing: if Calipari would have had his dream job coaching the Cavaliers, despite what I don't care what anybody says about Cleveland, he would have been coaching. Here's the thing: he would have been making $10 million a year, which would have just been the salary from the Cavs, without any endorsements. Okay.
Right.
He had a 6-year, $60 million deal. Maybe even I think it was 6 for 66. Okay, so $11 million a year. Okay, he would have had that, number one. Number two, he would have had LeBron. He would have been the team president and coach. This would have been easily his first chance to win a title in the NBA. I mean, he's never going to get gift wrapped a situation ever like that again. Now, here's the difference.
He didn't know that LeBron was coming back. For
here's
sure.
another thing that could happen. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to, and it's very unlikely.
Ooh.
But if the Cavaliers have an early exit from the playoffs, it's not something I'd be shocked to see.
Well, let's not even think that. I'm already planning my flight home for the parade.
I'm just saying, in a scenario where Calipari, that's what Coach Cal wants to happen. I have a feeling because his chance, he wants to come to the NBA now. What better situation could he walk into than saying, okay, I get to coach LeBron, Kevin Love, I get to coach this team next year, and Kyrie Irving.
Let's re-sign Kevin Love first.
Like I said, stop worrying about it. I don't even like having conversations.
I know, and I know where you stand, and you're one of the only reasons that gives me some calm, because you were so right with Kyrie, with LeBron, with all these things. So it's like, all right, And I thought about it too. Like, if someone's willing to pay me maximum dollars, like I cannot physically be paid any more dollars than I'm making here, and I'm finally going. I'm a legitimate title contender every single year with the best player on the planet.
Exactly.
I mean, come on, man. I will cash my money. I will be happy, and I'll be one of the best players on one of the best teams, making the most money humanly possible. All right. I couldn't walk away from that. That's ridiculous. So no,
that's what I'm trying to reiterate right here.
No, I just have so many of my buddies that give me grief about it. So I just pass it along to you, and then you give the answer, and then they talk about it.
How many years did they give you grief about LeBron coming back? And I was telling you for so long that he was coming back, and that he actually came back. How many times did I tell you that Kyrie Irving was going to sign that extension for max money, and that he was coming back?
I had my minute where I was concerned about Kyrie when he was clashing with Dion, and it just,
like I said, I haven't been wrong about the Cavs. I really haven't. I mean, the night the Cavaliers drafted Dion Waiters, was I not completely right about that?
He's a bum. The guy's a bum.
Like I
well,
said,
and I
I've
couldn't
had my
understand if
moments
he's
with
so
the Cavs.
good. If he's so good, why is he coming off the bench at Syracuse? But
That's the thing. I've had my moments with the Cavs. When the Cavaliers took Sergei Karasev over Rudy Gobert, I was sitting there. I was like, you got to be effing kidding
is
me.
Karasev in the league? Is he
Yeah,
still?
but he barely plays.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Rudy Gobert is arguably going to be one of the league's next best centers. He's already one of the best defensive centers in the league. A big reason why Utah had such a strong finish to the season.
Well, let me, before we get to Utah and we start talking about these final playoff teams, back to Coach Cal. Do you think LeBron is actually the coach of the Cavs? We've been hearing these stories with Brian Windhorst. I actually did you and I
place for years. It doesn't make him the coach.
hold on, but did you and I talk since the Brian Windhorst story that came out? I don't know that we have.
Right? The thing is, I don't think it's anything new. It's something that's been known for years. I mean, at least in NBA, every NBA team knows that. LeBron's a floor general. Chris Paul is the same way in LA. Just to let people know that, Chris Paul calls his own plays in LA. It's not a shock.
No, not about the play calling necessarily, because yes, I was wondering if how much
By the way,
relevance.
Just to let you know, Steve Nash used to do the same thing in Phoenix. Tony Parker has the freedom to call his own plays too in San Antonio. This isn't something that's incredibly new. A lot of dominant NBA superstars. Jordan did the same thing in Chicago.
Well, I was making the transition from David Blatt, wondering how relevant he is, and because that's kind of the theme with Coach Krzyzewski winning another championship with Duke, talking about the relevance of coaches. But I was going to transition it because Windhorst was talking about the real story behind LeBron quitting on the team this year, and just surprising everybody and saying, "Yeah, I'm not playing tonight," and then just kind of took off for a while and. Really shook the whole team up from the general manager. It was. Did you happen to catch that interview with?
I read bits and pieces of it. I mean, honestly, the thing is, I can hear for myself firsthand. I don't need to hear from Brian Windhorst. I mean, that's the difference. I kind of know what's going on behind closed doors. I don't need to exactly hear it from Brian Windhorst to know what's going on in the organization.
That's fair.
I mean, I've known that for years. I mean, I've told you news way before Brian Windhorst has come on the radio and said it multiple times. You know that as well as me. I've called you up personally and told you, or I've texted you.
Oh, you and I have had lots of conversations off air, and I'd put like random tweets out, phantom tweets, and couldn't. I've
called you with breaking news 2-3 days before it's come out. Multiple times, and told you what's going to happen, exactly what was going to happen, a trade that was going down or whatever was going down.
It has happened.
The first time it was one of the first times we ever talked. But the Kyrie, the Baron Davis trade for to the Cavaliers, I knew about it before it happened.
And I think Mike Brown's getting fired. Yeah, it's a laundry list at this point. No, I just think Bill Simmons was surprised when Windhorst just kind of let it rip the other day.
Surprised a lot. I mean, Bill Simmons also thought that Kevin Love was gone to the Lakers. Bill Simmons also never thought LeBron was playing. Bill Simmons also last year didn't think the Cavaliers were making a draft pick. He didn't think the Cavaliers knew who they were taking, and it became a national story. The Cavaliers, I can tell you, knew who they were taking for probably about 2 weeks. As soon as Embiid had the foot injury, they knew who they were taking. It was no surprise.
Wait, was Embiid's second injury the foot or the back?
Okay, I'm sorry. No, I think it was the foot.
Okay, it might have been. I blur these things together.
Whatever it was, I don't even remember at this point, nor do I care. But I knew it was going to be Wiggins at that point because originally they had wanted Embiid, and then it became Wiggins, and it was fine at that point. I mean, I had told you it was going to be Wiggins. I had a feeling there was no way they were going to take Parker. And the other thing is too, even with the chance of getting LeBron back, there's no way LeBron and Parker would have ever coexisted on the same team.
Play too similar of a game.
Too similar of a position. It just would have never worked.
Yeah.
And plus, he wasn't good defensively. It would have never worked out.
Well,
Parker's a guy who you need as a scorer, and he and Irving would have been a total nightmare offensively, but also on the other end, a total nightmare defensively. And I mean nightmare in two different scenarios there. Two totally different meanings.
Fair enough.
The thing is, you needed the lockdown defender in Wiggins. I mean, everybody. I mean, that was what shocked me so. It was so little what Bill Simmons knew. That's why I was so shocked. And that's when I realized that a few years ago. Is Bill Simmons? He's fun with the with the hypothetical trades, that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. He's definitely a fun read. But it doesn't mean he necessarily knows a lot. He pays attention a lot to advanced statistics. sometimes too much. You know, that's the problem. Some guys go too much. They base stuff on, like their show with Grantland shot charts. They base way too much off of analytics, way too much. There's a certain healthy balance that you have to have in order to do that.
He's the Billy Bean of sports writing.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great writer. Don't get me wrong, he's a great writer, but it's a lot of it's for pure entertainment. When he's sitting there bashing the Cavaliers last year during the draft, it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
He couldn't stand that they got so many drafts. I mean, go around the league.
Pissed. He was just
go around the league. Not too many people were happy about that. In all fairness, I'm too much of a homer to realize it. But all that stuff aside,
everybody around the league hated the Cavs. But the thing was, Chris Grant also didn't tip his picks. Don't forget when, one of the reasons why Chris Sheridan had no credibility when he broke the LeBron story was because he mistakenly broke. The Cavaliers were taking Alex Len. Well, I actually happened to talk to the person that actually broke, that broke the news, and I asked him. I said, Joe, what were you doing breaking that Alex Len was coming to the Cavs? I go, who's your source? And he goes, I can't tell you my source. And I said, anyone other than Chris Grant. I go, there's no way you would have believed it if it came from anyone other than Chris Grant. And he said to me, he goes, well, you do the math and you tell me who my source was. And I go, was it? And he goes, yeah, it was Chris Grant. And I go, so he knowingly told you they were taking Alex Len? And he goes, yes. And I go, why? And he goes, I still don't understand to this day why he said that. And I go, even I knew that they weren't taking Alex Len number one overall. I mean, I remember coming on your show, and you said, who are they going to take number one? I said, I don't know, but it's not going to be Alex Len. All I knew was the Cavaliers weren't even that high on Alex Len. That's what I was so shocked about.
Well, I'm getting ready to watch Draft Day again. We're coming up on the NFL draft, of course, and
Sonny Weaver Jr.
Of course, the intricacies and nuances of the draft game. Let's look now at the NBA in the playoff standings. We're running out of games here. We're getting real close to the end. I don't know if you want to start Western Conference or Eastern Conference first.
Yeah, we can start Western. Let me just go through it so I have everyone in it. The new ESPN.com, by the way, is awful.
I'm on it right now, and it's taking.
It's not easy.
Well, it says that I can date women 50 and older. Ooh, wow, look at that. I don't want that on my sports page, ESPN. Thank you much.
All right, so if we start with the West, we've got Golden State versus OKC in the first round. And I'm hoping it's going to be the Pelicans. I'd much rather watch Anthony Davis on a nightly.
Can we probably rule out the Suns at this point?
Oh, yeah, I think we can.
Okay.
They're 3 games back of the Thunder with basically, 5 to play? Or if you're the Suns, yeah, basically 5 to play.
It's a half-game difference between Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis here.
I think the Pelicans are going to get in there. Right now, Oklahoma City's really struggling.
What's the schedule? Who else do they have to play? God, man.
I haven't even looked yet, but if you're just going through the playoffs right now, Golden State will beat New Orleans or Oklahoma City in most likely 4 games, maybe 5.
Oh, hold on. I got it pulled up here. We can do this. Okay, so here's who the Pelican. I hate the name the Pelicans. It's just such a dumb name.
I don't mind it anymore.
Anyway, Pelicans have to play Golden State, Memphis, Phoenix, Houston, Minnesota, San Antonio. That is a tough stretch.
Who has to play that?
This is the Pelicans. Have the Warriors, the Grizzlies, the Suns,
Don't
the Rockets.
Don't forget, though, Golden State might start benching their guys this week. The time is now. It's very hard to tell because, in the last 5 games, don't forget, the Cavaliers are 1 game away from locking up the 2 seed. Do you honestly believe LeBron's going to be playing 35, 40 minutes a night over the next couple nights after that happens? No. No way in hell.
Probably
Do you believe
not.
Kevin Love's probably going to play? No.
They should rest him like crazy.
Do you think they're going to risk Kyrie? Absolutely not. I mean, I'm telling you right now, looking at the upcoming schedule, looking at it's like playing, it's literally like playing roulette. You don't even know who's going to play. Golden State has 63 victories, and I believe they have the number 1 seed locked up. Look for those guys to start getting limited minutes over the next few nights and not playing 40 minutes a night.
All right, that is a fair point. Let me
so
switch.
You can't even take a look at the schedule at this point.
Well, let me wrap it up though. I mean, because I think this one's a little different. A few different teams. If you're looking at OKC, who do they have left? And of course, considering who's going to get benched, the Spurs, the Kings, the Pacers, the Trailblazers, and the Timberwolves. So that's who they have left. So I mean, you just want to see Anthony Davis. You'd like to see this amazing season from Russell Westbrook go for nothing.
The thing is that they're not going anywhere. That's the thing. Oklahoma City's not going anywhere. Russell Westbrook can put up 50, 10, and 10 in the playoffs, and they're still not going anywhere. They just don't have the manpower to beat Golden State. And Deion Waiters is not going to contribute like that. So, the thing is, OKC traded for Deion Waiters to really get their James Harden back from 3 years ago. Deion has absolutely just miserably failed in that position. He just isn't James Harden.
Who really knew that James Harden was James Harden? Because, the beard turned into the beard.
It wasn't that hard to tell. I even said during, Brian, as we discussed on the show, said you do not trade $1 for 4 quarters. We went over this, and James Harden was a budding superstar who was being held back on the bench.
It was weird that he was being held back on the bench. I thought that was like I said, why I would have fired Scott Brooks after the NBA Finals. We had discussed this so many times. Scott Brooks, your favorite coach in your favorite city, Oklahoma City.
He's one of my. I cannot stand him.
So it looks like pretty much the Mavericks are locked in at 7, and you have the Pelicans and the Thunder just battling it out. 1/2 game of a difference. You want to see the Pelicans.
Yeah, I do. And like I said, getting to it, I see Golden State knocking off OKC. I see Houston knocking off Dallas. I see San Antonio beating Memphis in the first round.
Yeah.
Memphis, to me, seems, like I said, Memphis wins some games. They're gritty. But, I would love to see a Memphis Cavs final. The Cavaliers would beat them in 4. I'd love to see it. But I can tell you right now, Memphis is not good enough to come out of the West. The Cavaliers destroyed Memphis this year in both games.
Yeah, well, they destroyed the Warriors, too.
They lost the Rockets both times, but the Rockets don't scare me one bit.
As long as you don't get kicked in the nuts by Harden.
They don't scare me one bit. Also, it's the same thing. I don't, like I said, I really don't have any fear of any West team. Honestly, I think Portland gives the Cavaliers their stiffest competition in San Antonio. And San Antonio has a good shot at making the finals. I really think
they really do. They're peaking at the right time. So what do you make of the Blazers and Clippers? Who do you see coming out of that?
That one's so tough for me to say. I really don't know. It seems like the Clippers seem to have a choke job every year, so I'd take the Blazers.
It's not like the Blazers haven't had choke jobs every year,
although
too.
I think the Clippers might be the better team.
The Clippers' window, it seems like it's closing. It sure seems like it's closing.
It's not closing. Chris Paul's not even 30 yet. Blake Griffin's still in his mid-20s, and DeAndre Jordan's in his mid-20s. Their window's not even close to closing.
All right. All right.
When you have a core like that's that young, it's not close. It's the same thing with Golden State. Their core, their core is fine. Although they might lose Draymond Green after the year, so I don't know what's going to happen with that.
All right. Well, then what about in the East over here? The Miami Heat we're sitting there as the matchup for the Cavs at number 7, and boy,
not anymore.
Not anymore. They are 2 games.
Miami's tanked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're one game out of the 8th spot.
This is the dream scenario for the Cavaliers though in the first round as of today. Hitting Brooklyn in the first round is what they want. You're getting an older team who's not very good.
Pacers with Paul George back, probably a little better.
That's the team I don't want to face. It really isn't.
And they're only 1 game out of that Celtics spot, 2 games out of the Nets spot.
Yeah. They're the team I wouldn't want to face.
So out of basically, let's call the Pistons out of it. About a game and a half back are the Hornets, and then game back the Heat, game back the Pacers, Celtics, and Nets.
By the way, I went to the Hornets game last week in Charlotte. I have to say.
Yes.
It felt like a minor league game being there.
Oh, really? In what way?
Basically, the crowd atmosphere. And by the way, I walked in there with my buddy, and I'm like, we walked in there like, wow. So I'd been to Charlotte before. I just hadn't been to the arena. We walk in there, we're like, oh my God, this is super nice. You walk in, they have a really nice big atrium. Then you're walking around and you go, wait, there's no food option, no food option, no food option, no food option. Okay, there's a pop-up stand here. Quicken Loans Arena has a much better presentation during their in-game atmosphere, even when they suck. Was so much better with the Cavs. It just is a better atmosphere.
Is every team in the NBA doing that 3D thing where they project onto the court and then
Charlotte didn't do it. No, they didn't do it.
So I know the Clippers did it, and I know they're doing it in Cleveland. I don't know if that's the new upgrade that everyone's getting.
There's only a couple cities that do it.
Oh, okay. I was wondering about that because that thing is pretty cool. It's pretty cool to watch. Yeah, I got buddies. I got buddies down there in Charlotte. I don't know.
Charlotte, I have to admit, it's a nice city. The arena, they could have done a lot better. It has a lot of potential, but it doesn't really do much. And their club seats in the lower level. I sat in the club, and I was shocked to see there's a bunch of food options inside of the club when you get down there. But if you don't sit in the club, you're screwed.
So do you think the Hornets have any chance to make up that game and a half?
It's going to be tough. I mean, they do, but I just don't think they're that good. I mean, I really don't think it matters. I don't think any of those teams are going to beat the Hawks in the first round. I don't think any of those teams are going to beat the Cavs.
But you think the one team, if you had to avoid, would be the Pacers. The second team would be the Heat, and they're both on the outside looking in.
I think getting the Heat would be fine. I think the Cavaliers, what they did to the Heat the other night, they annihilated them, even when Wade was in the game. I mean, they were up by 18 when Dwayne Wade went out. I mean,
yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the Cavs win.
I have to say though, the other night was I've been to a lot of games this year. I have to say this. The other night against the Miami Heat, I was at the Hornets game the night before, and then I was at the Heat game, Cavs Heat the next night when I got back from Charlotte. And I have to say that nothing felt closer to opening night in a playoff game than that Heat game did last week, like the other night. And I have to say to myself, that's exactly what I want in the first round series. It's intense, and the whole crowd will be fired up. It would make for a great, great story and a great series. I mean, granted, I think the Cavaliers would kill them. I just don't think Miami has enough left in the tank. But wow, would that be awesome? I mean, the arena was just rocking. It was so loud. It's exactly what I want in the first round series. And plus, like I said, it's going to get all the national attention.
Yeah, it really is the storyline that you kind of want to see. I just, if you're going to write the story, kind of like how Urban Meyer, had this dream season on his third quarterback and, dealing with Costa Cara George, taking his life, unfortunately, and, the uphill battle after the early loss and beating down Michigan State and then Wisconsin and then Alabama and then Oregon. I mean, really earning it in a storybook season. This whole season has been set up for this to be LeBron's year. To come back, bring home the title.
Here's the thing. I mean, don't forget, when the Cavaliers were 19-20, I'll never forget going, if they keep this up, I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. I remember saying that.
It was rough going there for a minute because LeBron was not LeBron. He was sulking. He quit on the team. He, maybe it was to prove a point. Maybe it was, a whole bunch of things at the same time. Being overwhelmed, maybe reconsidering his decision, whatever. It was a train wreck in the beginning. It was really bad.
It was a total train wreck. And, that's the thing is, I even said to you at the beginning when they were 19-12, and I was sitting there and like, their games they weren't winning convincingly. It was really bad because their bench was so terrible. Their perimeter defense was atrocious. And I remember sitting here going, I kept saying they're going to just be fine. They're going to be fine. They're blowing teams away by 40 points. And the next night they're getting their asses kicked by 20. I mean, it just didn't make sense. I really didn't understand what was going on. But you see the additions of Baltimore. I mean, we laid out what the Cavaliers' problems were. They lacked the perimeter defense, and they lacked interior.
The big man inside.
Presence on the defensive end and on the offensive end. What do? You go out, you add a great three-point shooter in J.R. Smith who's playing fantastic defense. Shumpert's been fantastic on the defensive end. Mozgo's been fantastic. You filled in all your holes, basically, in a week.
You think J.R. Smith is going to re-sign with the Cavs? Isn't his contract up?
I think he will. I tend to think he will pick up his option.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great?
Here's the thing. It seems like the first time in his life he's actually enjoying basketball.
And he knows he set a record for, what was it, most?
Yep. Most three-pointers in a game without a two-pointer even attempted or a free throw.
But he's shooting from half court.
That was one of the most amazing shots I've ever seen in my life.
Uh-huh. Well, and then Kyrie one-ups him. Well, Kyrie had two crazy buzzer beaters. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. J.R. Smith has been such a fantastic addition. I just, and the thing is he knows his role on this team. He's not sitting there. He's taking a lot of spot-up shots. He's not sitting there taking too many dribbles off the ball. I mean, he's been able to set up. And same with Shumpert. Shumpert had a bad game yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
Very bad. Very bad. But what's happening? The Cavaliers still pulled off with the win. You can do that.
Is it about J.R. Smith knowing his role, or is it more about his role in the other? when he was playing with the
I
Knicks
think
and
it's him
whatnot.
being on a winning team and actually caring that he has a chance to win a championship. He doesn't need to prove himself.
But do you think he was being asked to do too much? On the other,
no, I think J.R. Smith just did his own thing.
Okay.
Honestly. I think with the guidance from and there are some players in this league. I mean, don't forget he was doing that with Carmelo. This just shows what a leader LeBron is, whether you want to think it or not. I mean, if J.R. Smith isn't J.R. Smith for the first time in his career, it's for a reason.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Windhorst was saying that contrary to people saying that J.R. Smith was the throwaway, like to go out and get Iman Shumpert, you have to take J.R. Smith. To the contrary, LeBron was consulted and he said, no, go out and get J.R. I want J.R. Smith. Which was kind of surprising because it just seemed like he's the throw-in. If you want Iman, you're going to have to take this crappy contract and take this potential locker room cancer, and it's been this crazy reclamation project. No. I think LeBron wanted him all along.
I think he did too.
I was concerned. I thought it was going to be a bad fit. Getting rid of Dion, it's like trading a Pepsi for a Coke. You still have almost the same thing there, and I couldn't have been more wrong about that. Couldn't have been more wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot that goes into it, but. I mean, the Cavaliers had three significant pieces. And you also got rid of your team cancer. So it was addition by subtraction. The thing is, Dion Waiters on paper at the beginning of the year, the Cavaliers, okay, basically you're looking at the team on paper, and you go, okay, well, Waiters is going to transform himself. He's going to, he's not going to be selfish anymore. He's going to do what LeBron tells him. And Varejau's healthy. This team's not going to lose. Well, what do you realize? Suddenly Varejao can't guard the 5. Waiters is terrible. Kyrie's awful defensively. Kyrie's been much better defensively ever since the addition of Shumpert and Smith and Mozgov. He's been fantastic. I wouldn't say fantastic, but he's been very good. When he actually wants to play defense, he plays defense now, which is very impressive. He's a fantastic player. He's not a ball hog anymore. The Cavaliers in iso ball just dominate, though. They have two of the best iso ball players in the league.
Yeah, well, but a lot of people are also wondering and saying that that could be the downfall in the playoffs. You don't want to.
Well, be just fine. Yeah, but the thing is, they don't need to always play iso ball. You can play LeBron in the post. Kyrie can be a spot up shooter.
And he's been doing that. He's been doing more in the post. You think that we're going to see a lot more of that come playoff time?
Oh yeah, I think he's been giving his body a rest. I really do.
I'm so excited to see this team really okay, guys, let it rip. You're on you're at the racetrack now. Let it go. You've been holding back all year. Go, run, go. I really think there is an entire different gear, if not two other gears in this team. My only concern is that I remember at least one season where LeBron, had one demeanor and one temperament and personality the whole season, and then when the playoffs came, everything got tightened up, and you could see the whole team was playing different. But I think that was a younger LeBron. I'm not worried about that this year.
I'm not either. I think he definitely wants to win an NBA title. He's not going anywhere. And like I said, let me just propose this thing. If Kevin Love does walk, you're going to have a line of guys that want to sit there and play with LeBron. Everybody wants to play with LeBron. If Kevin Love doesn't want to, there's always going to be someone else.
In controlling Kevin Love's contract, we could do a sign and trade.
No, because the Cavaliers are over the cap. They're in the luxury
Okay.
tax. You cannot sign and trade a player when you're in the luxury tax.
All right.
I'm going to propose another idea.
Explain
I don't think
that.
it's realistic.
Okay.
Hold on. I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah.
But it's always possible. Now, I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh, get
Kevin
to it
Love
already.
is
Yes.
a free agent. If he leaves,
Wait, who?
don't forget there's another. If Kevin Love leaves in free agent, there's another prominent player on Portland who's also a free agent. LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yep. You floated that several times. Yeah.
I like LaMarcus Aldridge more than Kevin Love to begin with. I'm not going to sit there and deny that. I've always liked LaMarcus Aldridge. I think he's one of the best players in the NBA. I think Kevin Love's a very good player too. Kevin Love, he's just different. I think LaMarcus. I'm not saying LaMarcus Aldridge is going to be a cab by any means, but I'm saying it's one of those weird possibilities that could be thrown out there. Don't forget, everyone wants to play with LeBron. It just is what it is.
And just keep an eye on that, you're saying.
I'm just saying, keep it on. I mean, maybe Draymond Green, there's someone. So worst case scenario, if Love does walk, they're going to wind up with someone. It's not like they're going to be left in the dark. Everyone, you look at this now, you look at these guys who want to sit there and play with LeBron. You saw it in Miami. Guys like Battier was coming down there. Ray Allen. You saw it for yourself. You see these guys willing to take a sacrifice.
Mike Miller, Birdman, yeah.
exactly my point. And you get there.
Are
and
you
you're like, okay.
are you surprised Ray Allen didn't lace him up this year?
I honestly think he's just done. I think he's just done. That's it. I mean, like I said, it's not like he jumped to another team. I don't think it had anything to do with Ken. I think he was just done.
Yeah, it might be the case. But then he also left the door open to maybe next year. I just want to take some rest.
I just can't see that one happening. Once you take a year off at that age, you're done. I mean, if he does come back, I'd be pretty surprised.
Well, it's the same way everybody told me, like, after high school. Do not take a year off or else you're never going to go to college. Go right to college. Get it over with while you're still trained up for that. And it probably was a really good piece of advice. No, I'm looking at the Cavs the rest of the season here. The rest of the schedule, of course, it's not going to matter as much. But the Bucks, the Celtics, back-to-back, which is weird this late in the season. And then Pistons and Wizards. So
easy ending of the season.
Yeah. I mean, but to see the Cavs with 50 wins, with those 5 going, I mean, you could easily be at 55 wins in a season that couldn't have started off much rockier. Let's just say that.
If I would have told you they were, I mean, like I said at one point, I was looking at the schedule a couple weeks ago, and I said if they play their whole team, I don't see them winding up with less than 54 wins, and this is when they were 23-20.
Yeah. It was just slow going. It was slow going. And no, I'm really looking forward to it. And also, you know, we got the NFL draft coming up. What did you think of Joe Thomas's comments about Johnny Manziel? He's not really known as being the most vocal leader, but he's how many time
If
All-Star.
Joe Thomas is saying that, then we've got issues with our quarterback. Big time issues. Johnny, obviously nobody could trust Johnny. I mean, the guy was an alcoholic. I'm not going to sit there and say when he was drinking, but I'm sure it was all the time. I mean, if he's finally out of rehab now, he was in Shreveport, Louisiana this weekend. You know, the guy did a lot. I mean, he was a massive, massive partier. He had his problems. It was noted.
And that's kind of one of the reasons
you
why he
see it
slid.
firsthand in the building. I mean, if you live in the apartment building, you can see it firsthand.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting dynamic to it. The fact that he was in your building, and I've seen that building, and it's pretty crazy. The alcohol is one thing, you know, swimming around on a duck, whatever, man. That's one thing. I've been there, but the rolled up dollar bills in the Vegas bathroom, that's the stuff I started
Looking
going,
back on it,
that's not good.
I mean, you know what the answer was now. Looking back on it.
Uh-huh. I mean, I don't know. And then another report came out saying they've pretty much 90% given up on the kid.
I mean, you have to. I mean, let him come back and prove himself, and whatever he gives you will be better than what he gave last year, I'm sure. And if they find out he's not the answer in camp and he's a distraction again, they'll cut him so fast it won't matter.
Yeah. Oh, if he's a train wreck, yeah. If he has a relapse, yeah, you just have to do the Deion Waiters thing with him. So, I mean, we got the NBA draft. We got the NFL draft coming up. Excited about that. College basketball is done. So excited for the playoffs in basketball. Really waiting to see kind of like just like we've been beta testing the Cavs all year. Now it's time to really sink your teeth in and see what this team's about. I'm excited. What do you make of the baseball season? Are you how do you feel about it?
I watched the opener tonight. I was at dinner and I was watching it. And then I came home and watched the last two before I turned on I was watching them both, but it wasn't too exciting tonight. They didn't play well. It's one night. There's 162 games in a season.
Yeah. But it was really nice seeing Corey Kluber get locked into a 5-year deal, though. That was a bit of a surprise.
Oh, and Carlos Carrasco, too. I mean, it's very nice to see that.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years, $38.5 million, something like that for Kluber.
They have a nice young core. I'm glad to see them finally lock up their players before losing them in free agency after, a year after you win the Cy Young.
Yeah, like Sabathia and Cliff Lee. No, I mean, I remember those great days. The Albert Bell, the Kenny Lofton, the Manny Ramirez, the Jim Thome, the Sandy Alomar. You lock them in. You get them locked in for a few years, and you have a run. It's just, once again, it's not like Kluber had a bad outing. What do you go, 7 innings, 2 runs? Not Cy Young, but it was good. That's good enough to win. But not when you're getting goose egged. We just need some more offense on this team.
I agree, but, it's tough.
It's going to be a long season. We'll have plenty of time to talk about it. So,
yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, Zach, that's about all I got. I don't know if there's anything else burning on your brain, but I tried running through the gamut, covering all these things. Anything else sitting there for you?
Nope. I think that's about it.
All right, coolio. Well then, when do the playoffs start? I'm taking a look at the schedule here. When does the NBA playoffs start?
April 15th, I believe, is the last day of the season. I think the last week in April 15th.
Oh, it'd be tax day. Okay. Wait, is it April 15th? Is that tax day or is April 10th? Now I'm getting them confused.
I think it's April 15th.
Okay.
Oh, tax day is April 15th, though.
All right. Interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, I know for sure, hopefully we're going to have a nice long run for the Cavs, culminating in a championship and, and then a celebration downtown, hoisting that trophy. That's how I'm envisioning it in my mind's eye. That's what I'm expecting, and we'll be talking more then. But for now, I will let you go, sir. I hope you had a great weekend with Passover and Easter and everything, and we shall be talking with you again soon. Thank you for your time tonight.
All right, thanks again, Brian.
All right, everybody, make sure you're following Zak Baris. He's on Twitter at ZBaris. That's ZBARIS. Make sure that you are checking out what we are up to. We are at thenewamericanmedia.com. On the right-hand side, there are three things. The TNAM Radio, where you click play to listen live. Underneath that is our Twitter and our Facebook. Twitter is at American_media_. And on Facebook, you do a search for The New American Media, and you like the page. Also, subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media. Check out the comments, leave some comments, just like UFC as MMA does. Join the conversation, we'll do back and forth. Yeah, UFC as MMA has done some good work laying out like the average heights of all the different players in the league. Talking about advanced analytics. Talking about barefoot height versus the with your shoes on. Yeah, I think barefoot's the way to go. I mean, everybody can have different size shoes, but that's the point. You get to participate in this show. It's not just where you listen. You comment, and then we read it, and then we try to put some comments back in there, and then we try to get the conversation going, etc., etc., etc. Invite your friends, all that jazz. So, signing out here from Los Angeles, California, my name's Brian Engelman. I appreciate you all. I love you all, and we'll be talking with you again soon. Go Cavs, go Indians, go Browns, go Buckeyes, and peace.
You are listening to The New American Media.